Hello and welcome back to Solving Trigonometric Equations. Lesson 3b, we are looking at solving equations with double angles, so for example 2x, and a single angle, for example x. So just like we did in question 1, we use the formula for sine 2x here, so we need to use the formula for cosine 2x in question 2 below. So there's three versions of this: cosine squared x minus sine squared x, 2 cosine squared x minus 1, and 1 minus 2 sine squared x. So this is the part of the course where it does matter which one we used. When we're doing trigonometric expressions, we could use any one of these three, and we'd, for the purposes of what we were doing earlier in the course, any one of those three would be absolutely fine. But here, to solve this, we basically look at the single angle term. So here it's plus cosine x. So the substitution I would use for this would be the one that only includes cosine x's. So as we have a cosine x, we use cosine of 2x equals 2 cosine squared x minus 1 for the substitution. Because when we do that, we get a quadratic in cosine squared, in cosine x, sorry. Okay, which are the kind of questions we dealt with in lesson 2a and lesson 2b. So if you need to go back and look at those again, please do so. Now, if I'd chosen to use 1 minus 2 sine squared, for example, I would end up with 1 minus 2 sine squared plus cosine x minus 1 equals 0. And I would have some cosine squared x terms and some sine x terms. I wouldn't be able to factorize those because I wouldn't have the same trigonometric functions. I'd have some sines and cosines together. I wouldn't be able to factorize those. Okay, so we just look at the single angle term and we pick the formula for cosine 2x that only involves this single angle term. So we end up with basically something that factorizes just like 2x squared plus x minus 1 equals 0. So we factorize that and we solve each bracket equal to 0. So 2 cosine x minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 to both sides, divide through by 2. Use our cast diagram that we've been using a lot so far, guys, so I'm not going to go into that, but our angles would be 60 and 300. Solve cosine x plus 1 equals 0. So again, for a value of either 1, 0, or negative 1, I would just be making a very, very quick sketch of the graph. Here's the cosine graph. There's 180, which is when the cosine graph is at a height of negative 1. So x would be 180. Three values in total, 60, 300, and 180. So I'd write them all out in numerical order, 60, 180, 300.